Preschool teachers do not just play all day. Oh my goodness, I want to talk about this for a few minutes. So, if you've ever heard someone say, or maybe you've said it yourself, must be nice to be a preschool teacher and just play all day. I just want to talk about that for a few minutes, because honestly, I think when people say that, they mean well. They don't mean it mean. It's just a lot of times they truly don't understand exactly what early childhood teachers actually do. And yes, teachers do play. We absolutely want them to play. But that's not because we want them just hanging out on a tiny rug, drinking juice boxes, and building block towers. It's because play is how young children learn best. Play is the work of childhood. So when someone says, you just play all day, what people really don't understand is this: that play is building brains, it's building language, problem solving, self control, confidence, social skills, emotional regulation. It's helping children just get ready for life in kindergarten. It's building those life skills. So if you've ever worked in early childhood, I get it. I'm here for you. Some people walk into a classroom and might see kids playing in block areas and dramatic play, art, sensory bins, maybe outside on the playground. It looks like chaos. It looks like noise and messy movement, a million tiny humans doing all kinds of different things at once. But to an early childhood teacher, that is not random. That is not just playing. That is learning and development all happening in real time. Let's talk a little bit about what a preschool teacher is actually doing, when to some people it might just look like they're playing. So, first, let's talk about blocks. To a lot of adults, blocks are just blocks. Kids are stacking them, knocking them down, building towers, building roads, making a zoo, whatever the case may be. It may look simple, but when a child is in the block area, they are learning so much more than how to stack wooden rectangles. They're learning problem solving. They are learning cause and effect. They are learning spatial awareness and early math concepts. They're figuring out balance, size, weight, how things fit together. And maybe even more important than that, they're learning persistence. Because what happens when the tower falls down? Or what happens when the bridge doesn't work quite right? What happens when another child comes along and knocks the block tower over, even if it was by accident? That's where the real work starts. That's where the teacher steps in and helps the child work through frustration and disappointment and anger and problem solving. That's the teacher helping the child think, okay, that didn't work. What could I try next? She's helping them not give up immediately. She's helping them use their words instead of tears or hitting or throwing the blocks across the room. So, no, blocks are not just blocks, they are opportunities to build thinking skills and resilience and emotional regulation. Then we've got dramatic play, which is one of my favorite things to watch because it tells you so much about what the children know and kind of what they're processing and how they really see the world. And to an adult, dramatic play can just look like a child wearing a firefighter hat or making pretend spaghetti in a plastic kitchen. I mean, it's cute, right? Of course it is. But it's also incredibly important because in dramatic play, children are they're building language, they're practicing conversations, they're learning how to tell a story and take on different roles, solve social problems, use their imagination. They're figuring out how to cooperate with their peers, how to negotiate, how to learn and take in another person's perspective. When one child says, I'm the mom, and then the other child comes in and says, no, I'm the mommy, they're not just being bossy, they are learning how to negotiate a social situation. They are learning how to handle disappointment. They are learning how to use language and work through a problem. When a child pretends to feed a baby, tuck it in, take it to the doctor, They're practicing what they know about relationships and routines. They're making sense of the whole big world around them. And the teachers aren't just standing back watching the cuteness, they are listening, they are noticing, they are modeling language, they are helping children enter play, they're helping them expand their ideas. They are helping them use words like, can I have a turn when you are done? Instead of just grabbing the toy and creating World War III in the housekeeping center. So dramatic play isn't just cute and just pretending, it's language and social learning and learning different perspectives, and it's emotional processing all wrapped up into one little play kitchen. What about art? Early childhood art in the classroom is not just cuteness on Pinterest projects that all look exactly the same so parents can hang it on their fridge. Ugh. Actually, I'm going to say something a little spicy here. If early childhood art looks like it all looks exactly the same, there's a decent chance that the adult did it for the work. Art in early childhood is about process over product. It's about children exploring materials, making their own choices, building hand strength, using creativity, and expressing themselves. It's about squeezing the glue and holding the scissors, using a paintbrush, tearing paper, rolling clay, strengthening all those little muscles they will later need for writing. Also, it's about confidence. It's about making something that feels like theirs. So important. It's about trying and experimenting and seeing what happens. It's about learning that there isn't just always one way to do it right or to get the same outcome. The child's painting looks like a big giant brown blob, and he's proudly telling you that this is the dinosaur at grandma's house eating tacos. That's not just nothing. That's their imagination. That is their language and their confidence. That is symbolic thinking. That's their fine motor practice. That's their self expression. Then we've got sensory play. And people think sensory play is just code for making a big giant mess, like rice bins and water tables and shaving cream and that crazy sand or Play-Doh or mud kitchens. Yes, it can be messy, but it's also incredibly powerful. Sensory play helps children explore with their whole body. It can support regulation and focus and language, motor development, problem solving. It helps children notice different textures and temperatures, volume, cause and effect. It gives them a way to calm their little bodies, engage in their senses, and process information in a hands on way. And teachers are learning so much just by watching the child in sensory play. They're noticing who jumps in and who kind of hangs back, who avoids certain textures, who seeks out intense sensory input, who can stay engaged and who gets overwhelmed, who needs support with regulation, who uses a lot of language, and who kind of just stays back and stays quiet. That's really valuable information. That tells us a lot about the child's development, preferences, needs, their nervous system. Then there's the books. The books. Yes, sometimes books are just a cute little way for the children to sit down on the floor, but it's such important work. Listening to books, they're building their vocabulary, comprehension, attention, their background knowledge. They're learning how stories work and learning and hearing rich language. They're connecting pictures to meaning. They're making predictions and they're building memory. When they sing songs, do finger plays, or building rhythm, all of that language, listening skills, the sequence, participation, they're learning how to be a part of a group. They're hearing patterns and repetition. They're connecting movement to words. And when they sit for circle time, even if they're very wiggly and it's not so perfect, they're practicing being part of a community. They're learning to listen and wait and participate and engage in shared experiences. Now, that doesn't mean every child should be expected to sit crisscross applesauce with hands on their lap. Absolutely not. We don't want that. We want the children to be able to wiggle a little bit. They're meant to move, they're meant to be a little wiggly. They're meant to learn through active engagement. But there's still value in those moments of shared songs and stories and connection. And that brings me to something really important. Preschool teachers are not just supervising play. A strong early childhood teacher is doing 1,000 things at once in her brain. She is observing, she is building relationships, she is scaffolding, she is modeling language and so many other things. She is also coaching social skills. She is helping children regulate their bodies and their emotions. She is noticing developmental strengths and perhaps some red flags. She's helping children feel safe enough to learn. A preschool teacher is the one helping the child enter play when they don't know how. She is the one helping a child say, "Can I play with you?" instead of hovering awkwardly over someone and grabbing toys, and helping um, children to talk to each other instead of just taking toys, helping solve those conflicts without hitting or screaming or biting or just falling apart. Honestly, she's helping children do things that a lot of people take for granted, like learning how to be in a group, follow a routine, how to handle disappointment, how to ask for help, how to use the bathroom, how to wash their hands, how to put their coat on, blow their nose, how to keep their hands to themselves, and how to keep going when something feels really hard. That is not small work. Preschool teachers helping build that executive functioning skills, that skill helps children pay attention, remember directions, control their impulses, solve problems, and manage themselves. And those skills matter just as much as learning letters and numbers. Actually, I would argue they matter more, because if a child can recognize all their letters and numbers but can't handle frustration, can't follow a routine, can't ask for help, can't work with other people, and completely fall apart every time something goes wrong, life is going to be pretty hard. So, yes, we want children to learn their colors and their shapes and their letters and counting. Of course, we do. But early childhood is about so much more than academics. It's about building the foundation underneath all the academics. It's about helping children feel safe and connected and capable and confident. It's about teaching them they can try something hard and they can survive it. They can have a big feeling and make it through. They can make a mistake and try again. That they can feel safe enough to ask for help. They can be a part of a group. They can learn how to use their voice and solve problems. They know that they matter. And let's be real for a second. Preschool teachers are often doing all of this also while wiping noses and cleaning up spills, helping with bathroom accidents, keeping the children safe, communicating with all the families and managing those big behaviors and documenting and trying to remember who drinks water from the blue cup and who will absolutely lose their mind if the banana breaks in half. Whew, they handle a lot. So when someone says must be nice to just play all day, I want to say this with all the love in the world. Yes, preschool teachers play all day. And inside that play is brain development, language growth, emotional regulation, social problem solving, executive functioning, confidence, resilience, and relationship building. Inside that play, children are learning how to be with other people and how to calm their little bodies, how to keep trying, how to communicate better, how to use their imagination and create and cope when life just doesn't go their way. That's not just playing, that's building the foundation for school, relationships, and life. And I think that's what I wish more people understood about early childhood, is that preschool is absolutely not babysitting with glitter. It isn't just keeping kids busy with, a little bit of fluff. It's real learning and it starts with them. This is real learning. When children begin to learn who is in the world and the world around them and how things work, and knowing that mistakes are okay and that they have the confidence to handle those hard things, and when school feels like a scary place, that those adults they already have relationships with and they are feeling safe. So much. I could go on and on about this. So, again, if you hear someone say, must be nice just to play all day, know that it's the adults who are working really hard to understand that child, to pause and to reflect. And they are doing important work in all of those things throughout the day. It's really about basically, they are literally building tiny humans. They're building humans that are going to grow up and be our future decision makers. They are going to be the ones that take care of us when we are elderly. They are going to be the ones that are going to lead this country someday. So think about that. Think about the importance of that and how it is so crucial to let our children be children and let them play and let them build all these skills so they can be successful in life. And that leads into why I write my children's books, because I'm so passionate about this kind of work with being an early childhood specialist and an early childhood coach that goes into the classrooms and is in the trenches and sees what our early educators do all day. Oh my goodness, so much. They have the most difficult and important job in the world. And so, why I started writing children's books is to hopefully just be another tool, not only for our early educators, but any caregivers that have young children, our parents. So, Oopsie Tootsie, Frida the Farting Frog has big feelings, and Chop Chop Lollipop, Lollipop the Little Lamb learns routines. Hopefully, this will be the start of a whole series to come, and I plan to have emotional regulation tools that go along with my books. And I'm glad you're with me on this journey. And I really appreciate all the love and support I've had since day one. And if you are new, welcome. And thanks for listening to this entire video. You will hear me often get on a soapbox because I'm so passionate about this important work. And I would love for you to subscribe and share this with somebody, perhaps an early educator, when they are feeling deflated and burned out and wondering if this work matters. Absolutely, this work matters. I just got goosebumps like talking about that or saying that, because whoa, does this work matter? It matters more than you will ever know. So, thank you for being an early childhood champion. Bless you, and I hope you will come back and we can have some more chat.